How many of you are from जंगपुरा? जंगपुरा के कितने लोग आए हुए हैं? एक, दो, नहीं माने जो सहयोगी नहीं है वो जंगपुरा के कितने आए हैं? जो सहयोगी नहीं है ऐसे जंगपुरा के कोई लोग आए हैं क्या? न जाने यहाँ के दिल्ली में लोगों ने कभी कुंडलिनी के बारे में सुना है या नहीं, और आप में से कुछ लोग नए आए, लेकिन बाकी जितने लोग हैं वो जानते हैं कि कुंडलिनी क्या चीज़ है, वो क्या काम करती है, वो हमारे कौन से शरीर के किस हिस्से में है और वो किस प्रकार हमारे अंदर आत्म साक्षात्कार का प्रसाद देती। और आप लोग 5-6 यहाँ पर ऐसे जंगपुरा से आए हुए हैं, तो मैं थोड़े इसमें आपको समझा देती हूँ कि कुंडलिनी क्या चीज़ है और आत्म साक्षात्कार होना कितना ज़रूरी है। लेकिन ये मुझे पता नहीं कि जंगपुरा में हमारा कोई सेंटर है या नहीं है। क्या? हाँ, पंडारा रोड पर हमारा सेंटर है, जो यहाँ से काफ़ी नज़दीक जगह है, और आप लोग सब वहाँ जा करके कुंडलिनी के बारे में पूरे मालूमात कर सकते हैं कि ये चीज़ क्या है और माँ कौन सी बात कह रही है। उसके बाद आप अगर इजाज़त दें तो मैं बाकी के जो सहयोगी हैं उनसे कुछ बातचीत करूँगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे बहुत कम लोग आए हैं। आश्चर्य की बात है कि अपने भारतवर्ष में दिल्ली, जो कि उसकी राजधानी है, वहाँ किसी को भी परमात्मा की खोज खास नहीं। अभी अगर हमारे जगह कोई तांत्रिक आ जाता तो ये सब टूट टाट जाता। ये कुछ समझ में मेरे नहीं आता है कि लोगों को असलियत का शौक क्यों नहीं है, सब लोग नकलियत पे ही क्यों उतरते। जहाँ आपसे कहा जाता है कि बाबा जी आए हैं, बस इनको चढ़ाओ, इतना पैसा चढ़ा सकते, तो उनको लोग चढ़ाने के लिए लाखों लोग इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे। हमारे बम्बई में तो एक एक तमाशा देखने को मिलता है। एक साहब वहाँ पर रामायण कहते हैं, और रामायण कहते कहते फिर सीता स्वयंवर भी होता है, तो सीता जी की, रामचंद्र जी की मूर्ति बिठा के उनका विवाह भी वो संपन्न करते हैं। फिर कहते हैं आप किसको कन्यादान करना है, सब लोग कन्यादान करें। तो एक विशेष दिन होता है जिस दिन कन्यादान होता है, तो जिसको जो कुछ कन्या को देना होता है, जेवर या कोई चीज़ भी, साड़ी वाड़ी, वो सब लेकर लोग पहुंच जाते हैं, और इस प्रकार कन्यादान करके सोचते हैं कि हमने बड़ा पुण्य कमा लिया और हमको तो अब बहुत बड़ा लाभ होने वाला है कि हमने 1 रुपया दिया, अब हमें कम से कम 10 लाख रुपया मिलना चाहिए। ऐसे हमारे देश में भ्रांति के अनेक मार्ग हैं, अनेक तरीके हैं, और फिर मनुष्य एक जगह खोजता है, फिर दूसरी जगह खोजता है, फिर तीसरी जगह खोजता है, ऐसी टक्करें मारते रहते हैं। जो कुछ हम बाहर खोज रहे हैं वो सब हमारे अंदर है, हमें बाहर कुछ भी नहीं खोजने का। आपको आश्चर्य होगा कि लक्ष्मी जी भी हमारे अंदर है, उनको भी बाहर खोजने की जरूरत नहीं। वो भी हमारे अंदर स्थित है। अगर लक्ष्मी जी जागृत हो जाए तो आपको लक्ष्मी जी का प्रसाद भी मिल सकता है, और अगर आपके अंदर शिव जी जागृत हो जाए तो आपको आत्मा का प्रसाद मिल सकता है। लेकिन मनुष्य जो है वो हमेशा झूठी चीज को ज्यादा पसंद करता है। किसी ने गप्पे मारना शुरू कर दी तो ज्यादा लोग पसंद करते हैं, और अगर कोई कहता है कि जो साक्षात है उसे पाए, जो असलियत है उसे पाए और झूठी चीजों के पीछे न जाए, तो लोगों को अच्छा नहीं लगता। माने ये कि अगर लोगों ने कह दिया कि हाँ भाई चलिए इसमें आप प्रसाद चढ़ाइए, सेवा करिए, सेवा की पेटी एक लगा दी, तो उठाने वाला जब लाएगा तो इतनी हल्की रहेगी, ले जाएगा तो भारी हो जाएगा। और इसी वजह से सहयोग नहीं चल पाता। सहयोग का मतलब है सहज, माने आपके साथ जो पैदा हुई है वो शक्ति सहज योग। योग माने परमात्मा से एकाकार होना, इस सर्वव्यापी परमात्मा की सुंदर शक्ति जो प्रेम की शक्ति उससे एकाकार, और ये वास्तविक में होना चाहिए, यथार्थ में होना चाहिए, और इसके कारण आपके अंदर एक विशेष तरह की चेतना आनी चाहिए, और वो चेतना है सामूहिक चेतना। माने दूसरा कोई बच ही नहीं जाता है। आप देखते हैं कि आप ही के अंदर सबका वास है और आप खुद ही उसको महसूस कर सकते हैं कि दूसरे में क्या परेशानी है और आप में खुद क्या परेशानी है। इस प्रकार आप अपना प्रकाश स्व प्रकाशित होने के कारण आप अपने को देख सकते हैं और दूसरों को भी देख सकते हैं। लेकिन ये यथार्थ है, लेक्चर देना नहीं है कि आपको मैं लेक्चर दे दूं और यथार्थ न मिले। अब यहाँ जितने लोग बैठे हैं करीबन, उसमें से आप थोड़े से लोग छोड़ के बाकी के जितने भी लोग हैं वो इस यथार्थ को पा चुके। आज एक साहब मुझे मिले थे, उनकी बड़ी बुरी दशा हो गई। उन्होंने कहा साहब हम तो ये किताब पढ़ते रहे और ये किया हमने भगवान के लिए, वो किया, लेकिन हमने कहा कोई ऐसा काम करने से पहले आपने ये क्यों नहीं सोचा कि जो लोग इस काम में जाते हैं और इसमें हिस्सा लेते हैं उनको कुछ फायदा हुआ या नहीं। भाई कोई डॉक्टर जिसका नाम होता है उसके पास ही तो आप जाते, जिससे लोगों को फायदा हुआ वहीं तो आप जाते। लेकिन आप ऐसी जगह तो नहीं जाते जहाँ कोई फायदा ही नहीं हुआ, सिर्फ एक तरफा काम है कि आप पैसे देते जाइए, आज इतना रुपया चढ़ाइए, कल उतना रुपया चढ़ाइए, परसों उतना रुपया चढ़ाइए। कुछ आपको भी तो मिलना चाहिए, कुछ आपको भी तो प्राप्त होना चाहिए, आपकी भी तो शक्ति कुछ दिखनी चाहिए। अगर कोई कहे कि साहब ये गुरु जी बड़ी इनमें शक्ति है और ये बड़ी सिद्धि वाले हैं और ये ऊपर से कुछ आकाश से 2-4 रुपया निकाल के आपको दे देंगे, तो पहली तो बात ये कि क्या आप रुपया लेने परमात्मा के दरवाजे आए, और दूसरी बात ये है कि जो ऐसी शक्तियां आदमी दिखाते हैं वो शक्ति तो उनकी अपनी होती, कोई दूसरे के पास तो आती नहीं। सहयोग में हर इंसान इस योग्य होता है कि इस योग को प्राप्त करे, इस आत्म साक्षात्कार को प्राप्त करे। अब आप लोग ये भी कह सकते हैं कि माँ ये तो बड़ी कठिन समस्या थी और कठिन थी, बड़े मुश्किलों से होती थी, होती होगी, हम नहीं कहा करते, लेकिन हमारे लिए ये आसान है क्योंकि हम माहिर हैं, हम जानते हैं उसे हम क्या करें। अगर हम किसी बात को जानते हैं और माहिर हैं तो हम किसी भी तरह से ये काम करके दिखा सकते हैं। तो आपको ऐसे प्रश्न पूछने से क्या फायदा है, जिससे कि आपको फायदा के हो वही काम करना चाहिए। जिससे आपको कुछ फायदा ही नहीं होता, ऐसे सवाल पूछने से फायदा क्या कि माँ ऐसी कठिन बातें जो है ये कैसे आसान हो गई। कोई ना कोई बात हम में भी है और आप में भी है, कुछ तो बात जरूर होगी, नहीं तो ये कठिन से कठिन जिस समझने वाली बात और जिसके लिए लोगों को बड़ी तपश्चर्या और आफत करनी पड़ती थी वो इतने आसानी से माँ दे देती, ये कैसे हुआ। इसको तो तब सोचना चाहिए कि जब आप इसके शौकीन नहीं, समझ लीजिए हम कह दें कि एक यहाँ पे हीरा रखा हुआ और आपको मुफ्त हम दे रहे हैं, तो क्या आप ये सोचेंगे कि ये हीरा ले या नहीं ले? आपका ले तो लो, फिर देखेंगे सच्ची है या नहीं, और फिर उसको परखने के बाद अगर सच्चा हो तो ठीक है। लेकिन अगर हम ये कहें कि ये तो एकदम फ्री है, इसमें कुछ लेना देना नहीं, तो अगर आपको ये हीरा मुफ्त में मिल रहा है, इसमें कोई लेना देना नहीं, तो चाहे सच्चा हो चाहे झूठा हो, आपका जाता क्या है? और जब माता जी को कुछ लेना ही नहीं है तो फिर वो ये कर क्यों रही है? उनका इससे क्या लाभ होने वाला है? कोई भी नहीं। तो ऐसा इंसान भी कोई दुनिया में हो सकता है कि जो बगैर किसी लाभ का विचार किए हुए ही काम करता है? शायद हो सकता है, एक आध दो तो हो ही गया, आप लोगों ने सुना ही हो। इसलिए ये सारी शंकाएं आपको करना नहीं चाहिए। आपको ये सोचना चाहिए कि हमारे अंदर ये कुंडलिनी शक्ति जो शुद्ध इच्छा है वो सुप्तावस्था में है, क्योंकि एक ही इच्छा शुद्ध है, और वो इच्छा ये है कि आप परमात्मा से एकाकार हो जाए। ये इच्छा जब तक आपकी तृप्त नहीं होती तब तक ये शक्ति सुप्तावस्था में मानी जाती है, और ये 3.5 कुंडल डाल के त्रिकोणाकार अस्थि में बैठी रहती है। जब कोई जानकार इसे जागरूक करे, जिसके पास परमात्मा की शक्ति, वही जागरूक है। कोई झूठ मूठ के इश्तहार लगा के और माथे पे लगा के कि मैं कुंडलिनी जागरूक करता हूँ, नहीं कर सकता। अगर कोई ऐसा इंसान हो तो उसे जागरूक कर सकता है, और इसकी पहचान जैसे कि बताया गया है अनेक शास्त्रों में, सीधी भाषा में हम कहेंगे कि कबीर दास जी ने बताया हुआ कि शून्य शिखर पर अनहद बाजी। जब कुंडलिनी उसको सुरती कहते थे, जब उठती है तो यहाँ पर आकर के शून्य शिखर पे पहले धम 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 ऐसे जैसे कि हृदय की आवाज होती, लप टप लप टप, यहाँ पे आवाज आए। अनहद, अनहद माने हृदय की जो आवाज, उसे अनहद नाद कहते। अनहद माने जो किसी भी दूसरे चीज को आहत करने के बगैर ही निकलता है, वो अनहद नाद है। और वो अनहद नाद यहाँ पे सुनाई देता है, लप टप लप, जैसे कि दिल यहाँ पर आ गया। और जब ये चक्र टूट जाता, या कहना चाहिए कि यहाँ पर जो ब्रह्म का छिद्र है, जब वो भिद जाता है तो उसमें से आप देखते हैं कि कुंडलिनी के ठंडे ठंडे हवा के झोंके आने लग जाते हैं। थोड़ी देर बाद आपके हाथ में भी वो सर्वव्यापी शक्ति लग जाती है, जिसका प्रतिबिंब कुंडलिनी है, और आपके हाथ में भी ठंडी ठंडी हवा आने लग जाती है। शीतल पवन, बहुत शीत भरा नहीं लेकिन शीत करने वाला, और बहुत इंसान को शांति मिलती है और सुख मिलता है। और बहुत से लोग समझ जाते हैं कि अब हम दूसरे हो। बहुत से लोग शंका कुशंका करने से जरा डामाडोल चलते हैं, पर अंत में वो भी देख समझ करके किससे क्या लाभ हुआ, कैसे फायदे हुए, उससे वो भी ठीक हो जाते हैं। लेकिन सबसे तो पहले ये बात जानना चाहिए कि आपको माँ को कुछ देना नहीं है, माँ को कोई चीज नहीं चाहिए। आप कुछ दे नहीं सकते, आप मुझे खरीद नहीं सकते, और आप मुझे बांध भी नहीं सकते। सिर्फ आपका प्यार जो है वो खींचता है। इसलिए नम्रता पूर्वक इसे स्वीकार करें। और अगर ये चीज घटित हो जाए, और अगर कुंडलिनी ब्रह्मरंध्र को छेद दे, तो यहीं पर सदाशिव का स्थान है, आत्मा का स्थान है, या सदाशिव का है, और आत्मा मनुष्य में हृदय में रहती है। इसलिए जैसे ही उस आत्मा के पीठ को कुंडलिनी छूती है, तो हृदय में बसा हुआ आत्मा हमारे चित्त में आ जाता है और हमारा चित्त जो है वो सामूहिक चेतना से प्रकाशित हो जाता है। आप लोग अंदर क्यों नहीं बैठते? आ जाइए, कोई आफत नहीं आने वाली। तमाशा देखने की आदत है ना, क्या किया। अब आपसे मैं ये प्रार्थना करूंगी कि थोड़ी देर मैं सहयोगियों से भी बात करूं, क्योंकि आज का मौका अच्छा है, जंगपुर के बहुत कम लोग यहाँ आए हैं और उसके बाद हम थोड़ा सा ध्यान करें। Today I want to talk to the Sahayogis also because from this particular place there are very few people who have come and most of you are Sahayogis who are trying to know many things which I didn't have sufficient time to explain to you. Now, zara take kar लो। I wanted first of all to tell you something about the sickness of the people, which perhaps I have not elaborately told you about how to cure people and how people suffer from different sicknesses. As we are now on the principle of the being, we must understand that sickness also comes if there is something wrong in the principle that builds up the human beings. So now basically there are two principles which affect the body, and the third principle affects evolution. So the first principle of left-sided Ichha Shakti or the desire, power, is if in danger we develop lots of diseases due to lethargic organs. Left side is the tamasic side, is the side where darkness is affecting people. Those people who live in too much darkness or in the past or in a sly way, in a hidden way, who are introverts, we can say in short, who spend their life mostly in a very closed quarters or live with people who are extremely cautious and afraid of others, or people who do not talk much or who avoid meeting people, who shun people. All such people are left-sided, are having gotten tamas. Such people are in their spiritual awareness or spiritual ascent, try to take to bhakti. They take to bhakti more. They worship God from their heart, from their emotions. They work through emotions. There are 24 types of relations they establish with God. That's called as bhakti relationship, we can say. And they dwell upon it, and all the time weep and cry and say, "Oh God, when will I meet you?" Such people are the ones who take dominations from others, suffer, sacrifice, and lead a life of great suffering. But in their expression, in their achieving God, they start doing bhakti. And they think through bhakti they will come to God. But with bhakti, God comes to them. Because of their bhakti, God comes to them and He incarnates. For the bhaktas, the ones cry for God, He incarnates. So, there's nothing wrong with those people. Now these people eat extremely imbalanced food as far as proteins are concerned. And in proteins they are so weak that they might suffer from all lethargic muscles in everywhere. So you can see that these people suffer from cold, they suffer from diarrheas because the muscles are weak. They'll eat the food, the whole food will pass out as diarrhea. They'll have lethargic hearts, by which they will get a heart which will not pump the blood, swellings in the body. Also they might get this gout and these troubles of the joints. They also get the lethargic liver, which gives them allergies. All kinds of allergies come to these people through their lethargic liver. So now you have to base all these troubles of lethargic organs of any kind on the left side. For example, a person whose eyes are open but he cannot see is also suffering from the same type of disease. These people are affected by the subconscious and the collective subconscious, from where the spirits attack them and they become involved into these spirits and they have a very bad sympathetic attitude towards themselves. They are themselves miserable and make everyone miserable because they get their ideas from these miserable, sly people and they cannot see anyone happy, nor do they keep happy themselves. They will make a big fuss out of their so-called troubles and sickness and problems and try to create as much problem as possible for others. But the problems are not aggressively. It is more by appealing to the sympathy, appealing to the weaknesses of others. And a person who stays with such people can also get affected if he tries to show sympathies with these people. Cancer and what's that called? As muscular, that myelitis, what is it called? Huh? Muscular discrepancies and weaknesses in which the muscles become extremely weak gradually. And which other disease was that?
Poliomyelitis, osteomyelitis.
Osteomyelitis, poliomyelitis, all these lethargic things that makes your even lungs lethargic. If your lungs are lethargic, then you get diseases like TB, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis comes from the left side. Now, those who are strict vegetarians, who don't eat any, even garlic and don't eat even onions and all that, are very vulnerable to the left-sided business. On top of that, if they are going to a guru who is left-sided, they are even worse. So one need not lead an abnormal life. One has to be a normal person eating a right proportion of proteins, carbohydrates and fats. So this is one side of Sahaja Yoga, in which you see that left-sided people have to be very, very careful and not to just assert themselves on that side. Many people come and argue with me because they said that in Gita it is written, they said so, I don't know, that tamasic people eat lot of meat. Is not true. Is not true. Tamasic people are the people, they are not bad people by any chance. They are one type, are the people who eat too much of carbohydrates. Because left side is hydrogen and carbon comes from Ganesha on the left hand side. So it's more carbohydrates. No question of eating too much of meat. But the right-sided people now have a very, very overactive, extremely overactive personality. Such a right-sided person is eating too much of proteins. All the time meats, this, that. And he becomes an overactive person. And such an overactive person receives a blessing of their ego. And a big ego develops. Such a man aggressively destroys other, the images of others, pulls them down, criticizes others, jumps on them, can be very hot-tempered, can be absolutely demonic. As I said before, Hitler is the example. Now, this type of people who eat too much of meat and too much of heavy food and develop muscular capacities too much more than a human being should have, say they become like horses. Then they start behaving like horses, worse than horses also. And that's why a person should not take to too much of it, should keep to the center. All such people have overactive organs. Due to overactive organs, they develop a very bad heart, which is overactive, in which the heart pumps fast, palpitations take place. In lungs, he develops asthma. In his intestines, he develops constipation. He develops a very, very bad liver and a very unhealthy skin. The skin is extremely shallow, and such a person is very, very quarrelsome and aggressive. A person who leads a very ascetic life and of martyrdom. For example, many government servants think that they are doing a very great work of martyrdom for their country. But such people also become so conscious of that they are hot bricks. You just can't go near them. They are extremely hot-tempered. Or any person who leads a life of asceticism, of a severe type, like Vishwamitra, Durvasa, all these people, they all become so hot-tempered that you can't talk to them. They are very snappy and their language is very sharp, and when they talk, you can feel that it's not a person who has any balance in him. But they look very brilliant and consider themselves to be very intelligent, but they are actually stupid people. Because they do all kinds of stupid things. They do such stupid things that anybody who is wise can see that they have no sense of proportion in doing anything that is against the whole. Such people are vulnerable to many diseases, like as I said, the heart, liver, cirrhosis of the liver, also diabetes, leukemia, kidney trouble, high blood pressure, uterus troubles. Such people can become barren women. They may not have children at all. Such women cannot have children. Especially women who are very, very flirtatious type and who think they are very beautiful, and also they are having a very active life, can become completely barren. Also, men can become something good for nothing people if they overdo things. If their attention is spent all the time in fulfilling their ambitions, they can become like that. So those people also who indulge too much into life and so-called enjoy life, waste their time in drinking and being with women and all that, they all can be ruined, not only by money, but also by their very bad health. Now, on the level of right heart, you know that such people may have very bad time with their children, may have bad time with their parents, and may have very bad time with their wives. At the level of right nadi, they will have problems of digestion. They may have money, but they can never enjoy that money or can never think of living a life which is complete. At the level of the brain, they become ego-oriented. The ego can go that level that they can develop paralysis. Paralysis is possible in both the cases. Even the left side person can get it or the right side person can get it. But mainly people get it, the paralysis on the right side. It affects the left side of the body, but the paralysis comes from the right side. It comes from the left side, but affects the right side of the body. So there are two types of paralysis. One is the paralysis caused by too much of ego, another by super ego. Those who have lethargic temperament develop clots in their blood and low blood pressure. And these clots cause the paralysis also on the left hand side. The another one is caused by the damage to the brain on the right hand side by the overdevelopment of Mr. Ego within you. That's how we can summarize on the whole that the diseases of the physical side are caused by these two imbalances. Apart from that, we have the mental troubles with people. Like a left-sided person will have a mental problem, like he will be a sly person, he'll be a frightened person, he won't be talking to others, he would be nervous, he will not have self-confidence, he'll be running away from public, and also then he becomes schizophrenic, that he hibernates sort of thing in the house, becomes like a cabbage, we can say that kind of a lunatic he becomes. The another side of the right side is that such a person becomes right side. That person becomes a very hot-tempered, an obnoxious person, absolutely. Such a person can be so cruel, he can be so troublesome that he would be really a challenge to the whole family, to the whole society, and he would be very distant. So this is the second problem, also is a mental case. Now such a person may not look mentally upset, the right-sided person. But when they grow old, they just talk. They'll go on talking so much that nobody can talk to them. You can't even open mouth before them. They go on, जिसको हिंदी में कहते हैं बड़बड़ाना. They go on jabbering all the time, everything they are telling you. And quite relevantly they'll talk of God, of Atma, this, that. But just they are talking because they are so egoistical that they just go on talking, don't allow anybody to speak. And such horrible characters, if there is even one, you are in for trouble. Because you get headaches from them and you get other problems that you don't know how to manage them, how to keep them decently in their proper places. So they are also in a way mental cases because they are not normal. So on mental side also we have problems of people who are egoistical or who are accepting domination from others and becoming sly. Sly people are good at spoiling the relations of each other by saying something, by carrying stories, by being sly, and so both of these kind, extreme type, are very injurious to a proper social life. Now, ego-oriented person has another very big problem, that he asserts his ideas above everything else. So, always such a man, because he is stupid and idiotic, the idiotic ideas survive. And because of idiotic ideas, every planning that is done by such people is a failure. That's the reason our planning in India has failed. Everywhere it fails. Because the idiotic people, they are stupid, they are ego-oriented, just to assert their ideas, they are trying to plan something, and that's how the plan goes out. Everywhere where the administrator becomes much more than what he should be, then his behavior itself is so idiotic and so much away from reality that everyone has to suffer if such an administrator is asserting itself in the planning of any program of a country or of a nation. The worst and worst are the Rakshasas who are so egoistical that they think of capturing even the Adishakti, the primordial mother. It's such a stupidity. It's the greatest stupidity that they indulge into. So, stupid man is a very big problem to the whole society, though he never realizes. He thinks I have managed the show, I am the most successful person. But when the history is over, people talk about him as the greatest stupid person ever born on this earth. Like one Mr. Idi Amin, who is supposed to be of what place is? Now he is not there, but he was Prime Minister of Uganda. Now he was a real idiot. When you could see the way he used to talk and all that, he was an idiot. And he said that the people of my country should be called from my name, because you see I am the one who represents this country. So somebody suggested that it's all right, but how should we call? Like from Cyprus, people are called as Krypton. What are they called? Cypriot. So if we call your name, it will become idiot. So the people refused to accept this solution, though he was so dominant. So there was another one who made shoes out of pearls. See, horrible nonsense, for his marriage. I don't know what which was the uh, number of that marriage, but he wanted to make shoes of pearls and all sorts of idiotic things they do. I mean, these people who are such extremely ego-oriented, surprisingly become very miserly. Extremely, they are so money-oriented that they are extremely miserly. They spend all that money on themselves, but not on others. That they will try to say. Any good work has to be done, they'll keep back their money. But on themselves, they will buy the best wines, they'll buy the best things for themselves. But for others, they have no money. Even where it is their due, they will try to save money. They will not pay where it is the due. Which we see among so many people even in Sahaja Yoga, that they have to pay something which is their due for something which is very important, but they will not pay. They want even free, sometimes the books, sometimes the whatever it is for which people are paying. For example, this pendal is raised now. It needs money. Who is going to pay for it? I paid for at least 3 to 4 years myself from my own back pocket, and my brother helped me to do all this work. And they wanted me to go on with it all the time. Imagine, for your self-realization, I have to pay. I travelled on my own, I had my own things done. They wouldn't even pay for what is done. I mean, it is required that the people who are organizing this program should put up the pendal. I am supposed to give you the realization free, but not to pay for your pendal. Tomorrow you will say, Mother, also pay for us for coming here and going back our fare. I am not surprised. Such people are extremely miserly. Every pie they pay, they think we must get the money back. And if anything is done extra for them, that is not counted. Only thing, because whatever you can get, you should get. But while giving, they are zero. And these money-oriented people are horrifyingly, surprisingly are rich. One can't understand how are they rich, because there is nothing like generosity in them, and no priorities, not proprieties as to where you have to spend the money. And there's no self-respect about it. There's no self-respect. It's very surprising. You'll be surprised if I tell the Indians that I've seen in the West. Sometimes you go to a hotel with other people. I have never seen anybody offering to pay except for my husband or me. They start looking this side, that side. If somebody can pay, very good. It's most surprising. Even in countries like Sweden and Switzerland. Switzerland is another Bhagavad. The greatest miserly country you could ever think of is Switzerland. Europeans are extremely miserly. Most surprising it is how miserly they are. And Indians in Delhi are, Sahajogis, are very funny. I must say, I was surprised to hear that people just come for food free. I mean, am I supposed to pay for your food also? Pay for your food, pay for your taxes. Tomorrow you might even say pay for our house rents. It's absurd. All this comes from ego, which doesn't allow you to see the propriety of things. It's very surprising. They'll spend money on themselves, buy this, buy that. But to do the proper things, they have no money. Most surprising thing is, every time I come, I find Mr. Verma or somebody tells me that, look at this, mother, this is the money they have. So every time I have to pay out of my pocket to fill up the gap, all these things. Every time, maybe this year also. Now I told him, this time I am going to give you my kada, you sell it. And this is the situation in this Delhi, where the Sahajogis are so wretched that they don't want to pay even 200 rupees per year. Don't learn things from European Sahajogis. They have to learn from Maharashtrian Sahajogis. They are poor people, but never have they taken a single pie from them. They said, Mother, it's sufficient. You are doing so much for us. Other gurus take their money, extract all the money. Here the guru has to spend the money all the time. Can you imagine Sahaja Yoga of this kind? Have you heard of such a guru anywhere? That the guru is spending the money for Sahaja Yoga. I have been sending, not this year, 12 years I've been coming to Delhi. I think till last year I've been spending my own pocket money. And I don't know how to answer my husband. He just can't understand. He said, what is this Sahaja Yoga that you have to pay for the disciples? I said, thank God they don't ask for their house rents. It's a very shameful situation. I must say it's a very shameful situation. That where the money is needed, they have no money. There's no budgeting at all of a priority. You are Sahaja Yogis, you are saints. What are your priorities? But in Maharashtra, you must come and learn. They are poor people. They haven't got so many riches. You won't see so many cars in Maharashtra. There are hardly 1 or 2 people who have cars in Maharashtra. But never such a problem comes up there, whether you go to villages or to the cities. Nobody makes up an account because the whole account is, we have to pay for this, electricity, this, that, all has to be paid through my pockets. That's why I'm talking to Sahaja Yogis today. So European Sahaja Yogis also have to tell them that they have to behave themselves a little better. This is not the way to behave towards money. It's a shameful way that I've heard that European Sahaja Yogis, some of them, are behaving in a very shameful way. It's not correct. It's not a good thing. So this is the right-sided stupidity. You know, any Kanjush man you meet, you just laugh at him, isn't it? There are so many stories of Kanjushas. So, the Kanjush and the lazy, which one would you prefer? I don't mind a lazy man, but a Kanjush, God save me. Whatever you may do for them, you see, a Kanjush has no sense of shame. No sense of shame left in him. He doesn't understand what he's doing. It's so surprising sometimes that the Kanjush people have forgotten that their spirit is the most important thing, and they should not save money where it concerns self-realization, organizing. It is most surprising that these people, when they behave like that, all these countries one by one are becoming poorer and poorer. The more you are worried about money, the worse it becomes. Of course, I don't need any money. You know already, I don't know how many thousands I have spent out of my own pocket so far. But the problem lies that nobody understands that it's a shameful thing that a guru has to spend for you. Now, that's why I said today I want to talk to the Sahaja Yogis of Delhi. I was ashamed, absolutely, to hear that Sahaja Yogis here can't even give less than 20, 18 rupees per month, 18 rupees per month. Those who cannot afford is alright. Those who are retired is alright, children is alright. But you can't even give 18 rupees per month. It's not even 18, less than that. I don't know. This is the minimum you can pay. We have to run an ashram. We have to run these things. You want to have a place where to go. How can that be? I just can't believe. With Sahaja Yoga, if you do not even have this much of generosity, it is better you give up Sahaja Yoga. Better give up. You are not the one who can go on with Sahaja. Look at your mother, how generous she is. I give you realization. Work morning till evening. Today I didn't have a single minute free. I was working. Whole day I've been going, doing this, doing that. Even for buying things for you. All these Sahaja Yogis, everyone. How far I go. I work so hard. And you can't even give 18 rupees. I can't believe it. I heard about the Sahaja Yogis. Now you are sitting under the pandal. Who is going to pay for it? I should pay. And these carpets, I should pay. Is this the way to behave? Next time, if anybody doesn't pay like that, I'm not coming to Delhi. I'm telling you, next time I'll not come to Delhi. I can't afford it now anymore. Coming to Delhi means I have to shell out my own money every time. Those who have not paid the money, please pay. Otherwise, I will not come to Delhi. I am telling you, I don't like this kind of thing that you cannot even pay 18 rupees to maintain that ashram, to maintain all these things. This is too much. Now, will you please try to understand that you have to be of a caliber to be a Sahajogi. You cannot be just a Raddad person from the road who can become a Adishakti's son, can you? I do not want beggars to be my children. Will you please now, all of you, decide today that no more of this talk I will have to do. This is the last time I am telling you. It's a shameful thing. And in the history it will go down that mother stopped coming to Delhi because every time she went there she had to shell out money from her pocket. The history of Sahajoga will be written in golden letters. And remember that everybody's name I am going to put down there. And those who do not pay, please give me their names. That's it. I want to know who are these culprits. और जो लोग कंजूसी करेंगे उनके साथ भगवान भी बहुत कंजूसी कर सकता है. So now we come to the central path of Sushumna. The central path of Sushumna is for the people who are in the center. The people who have their proper understanding and who have got their wisdom. These people are extremely generous. You take any guru, Sadguru, take anyone, take Nanaka, take Kabira, or take Tukarama. Tukarama, his children asked him that you get us some sugar cane. So he was walking and one gentleman who was his master, whose field of sugar cane he was looking after, gave him lots of sugar. So he was coming home and all the children started asking, give me one sugar cane, one sugar cane. He gave everything. He came home, he had no sugar cane for his own children. They suffer from over generosity. They are so generous you can't imagine. You should ask people who have known me in that aspect. Generosity is the only way you can express your love to others. I have told you before also. All your material wealth and everything has no meaning unless and until you show generosity for the people. But it should be quiet and it should be absolutely silent. I have seen that it's nice to oblige somebody who comes to our house. Indians are very good at it. Please have your food, this, that, because just to impress. Later on they'll take out some work from that person or something. But there is no genuineness about it. Anybody who comes, just help. Doesn't matter. Any great cause, what can be the greater cause than this work of God that I am doing? And there I find you people behave like this. Now where are you going to spend your money? So the center people are extremely generous to begin with. They cannot retain food if they have it at somebody's house. Either they vomit or they'll have diarrhea. If they eat at a place where they should not have eaten, if it is not properly vibrated, if the food is not good, they will not eat. Even if they eat the food, they'll vomit it. They are extremely kind and gentle. They do not suddenly jump on people and say, oh, you have a food that has got this and that. If it is so, they try to avoid not to eat, but sometimes they are crucified, alright, doesn't matter, they think, alright, I'll eat and throw it away. They are extremely wise and tactful. They know how to deal with people. They are extremely diplomatically gifted to please others and somehow or other bring them to the temple of God. The whole attitude of such people is to clean themselves, to keep them clean, to keep them all right, to get more and more people to this great work of realization. They never show up. I never see them before. They don't stick on. They don't show up. They are not in front. They don't want to show their faces. They are quiet. I know who they are. But they are dynamic and they work it out. Only when they have to consult something important, they'll come and see me. I know the way they work out. Extremely silent and beautiful, gracious people there. And they also know how to handle others. They can sometimes get into temper, which is necessary if they have to protect the protocol of their mother, or could be the protocol of Sahaja and of God. Normally, they are very quiet and silent people. Their presence is blissful. Whatever house they enter, it is auspicious. Whatever shop they enter, prospers. Whatever person they talk to is benefiting. They are auspicious. They are blissful. They give blessings. Automatically. They don't have to say, I bless you. If they are there, they bless you. They never think of making money out of God's work. Never. Not a single point. They are so truthful. Not because they are afraid that if we make money, the thief will come and take away all our things. Not with the fear, but with the full confidence that what they are doing is the greatest happiness and joy. And then health-wise, they are more on the fatter side, I should say, because they have gas in their body, lot of gas. The prana shakti is in the center. In the prana enters into sushumna. That creates the gaseous body. The gaseous body is not heavy, it's very light. They walk very fast, they are active, but to look at, they look plump. Normally. If they are not, they try to be plump. They want to be plump. They want to find out what's wrong with their livers so that they could be plump. They are rather on the plump side. Their main disease is their excretion and their all kinds of vomiting and all that. For example, a person who eats a wrong type of food or a wrong type of liquid has to immediately go and vacate it. This is their problem. Another problem they may develop, that if they have taken too much vibrations, they may develop a swelling on their body. Under these circumstances, first of all, they should find out if they are in the neighborhood of somebody who is anti-God. Because such swellings are developed when the vibrations are fighting an anti-God activities of the person who is with you. Say your wife is negative. Then such a person might develop a swelling because his vibrations are fighting the woman. He shouldn't mind that fighting. But he must know how to correct the woman. He must know how to put her right. Or the man, if he's like that, the woman might develop an anti-devil force within her which will give her that swelling. Different types of swellings might appear with the vibrations jutting out with a great speed. They might develop arthritis if they don't give vibrations, or pain in the joints. The other problem they may have is of very low breathing, low blood pressure because of parasympathetic activity. And when they are fighting with the anti-God activities, they might feel tired also sometimes. But again they recruit and they feel alright. At every center, if the vibrations start flowing too much, then all these people may develop, I'm saying, a kind of a suction or emission of vibration, depending on the quality of the person who is facing them. And when such a thing happens, they can easily correct it by giving a bandhan. And in case they find the vibrations are too much, then they can ask another Sahajogi to take out the vibrations from a particular chakras and give it to the atmosphere. They may suffer from the throat trouble. Also may suffer from the drying up of the liquid in the body if they have to fight the anti-God elements very much. So a kind of a dryness can develop in their peritoneum or maybe in their tracts which are covering them. That's why it's nice for them to eat some ghee or butter. They must rub their fingers and the hands and all these places with ghee or butter to soothe it down. Because the heat from the other people also can make them dried up. At the agya level, they may sometimes develop a headache with people who are very much caught up on the Agya, on the right side. It's important at this time to give up bandhan to yourself and to the other person who is very egoistical. And don't listen to them. Just close your ears and the person will stop talking. Also, they might develop some pressures on both the sides of the head. Sometimes when the Kundalini cannot rush upward, there's an obstruction on the Agya, then you might feel the pressure on this brain plate. At that time, they should try to bring the grace on top of all the sympathetic systems, bring it down, stand on the Mother Earth, ask her to suck it. So the Kundalini's pressure is reduced because when the grace comes on the body, then all the chakras open up and also Agya opens. If they have problem with their Agya, they should use a candle at the back if their eyesight is getting weak or short-sighted. If their Agya is too much here, there are mantras which are to be used, like I forgive everyone and all that. On the subtler way, you know all the mantras that are to be said. If a Sahajogi finds the Sahasrara catching, then he should take a bath in the sea, I think. I don't know where he should take a bath. Because Sahasrara is my place, as you know. And to catch the Sahasrara is a very serious thing for a Sahajogi. He might develop a Ekadasha with that and he'll be in trouble, and then he'll come and tell me that, Mother, though I was a Sahajogi, I was praying on your photograph and all that, still I got this trouble. The reason is, when you are a Sahajogi, you have to recognize me. That's the condition. So far you have never recognized anyone. But now you have to recognize me. If you don't recognize me, you will develop this Ekadasha. And I tell you that if you try to do like this, then it is not possible to allow the Kundalini to come. So Sahajogis who are very doubtful and still like this should not be called as Sahajogis. They should be kept out as far as possible. Let them learn that they are not worthy. Let them know that this realization has been given by me and by nobody else. Like once Venugopalan told me that Krishna did not give me realization, Rama never gave me realization, Ganesha never gave me, Shiva never gave me, Parvati never gave me, Adi Shakti did not give me. It was Mataji Nirmala Devi who has given me realization. So she is the one I know. Unless and until you understand this, all Rama, Shiva and Brahmadeva, Vishnu, everyone is going to get angry with you. Because they will not understand. Because you have got your realization, still you are denying me, that means something wrong here. And the whole plate can be covered and you might develop Ekadasha. That's the beginning of the end. Taking too much advantage of me is also like that. Too much sticking on to me, also you might get this Ekadasha. Must keep up. Too much pressurizing me, you will get it. Answering me, not listening to me. When I said, I want to do this, you'll say, no, let's do this. You catch. I know what to do, when to do, where to do. I know that. I know when I should reach a place, what I should raise the Kundalini, where it will work out. I know everything. You have to leave it to me. And if you start challenging me, you will catch on Sahasrara and then don't blame me. Only in Sahajaga, if you could rise and ascend and try to recognize me, I will have no problem, you will have no problem. If there is anyone, say your wife or husband and anything, who talks against Sahajaga, close your eyes. You are not to hear any ninda of me at least. If you don't understand, you don't understand, because after all you are not me. But know that I have given you realization and you should not try to challenge me, because God Himself will be against you. This is very ungrateful of you to behave like that. So first thing you must do is not trouble me much by any chance. You have to keep prasanna. This is what we always say, that keep the Devi prasanna. Yesterday the music was on, I was very prasanna. You should have been happy that the music was on. Mother is prasanna, that's all. But no, you wanted it to be your way. You hurry me up, you say, come along now, we have to go, that's all. Then your assent is not going to be alright. If you are a big administrator or anything, that is in the office, not here. Here I am the one. You have to leave things into my hands. Don't try to play tricks with me, because apart from my mother's heart, there are many other ganas. See, there are many other deities, many other great things which are waiting, and they may try trouble. So as Sahajogis, I have to warn. New people won't understand this. For them, it will look like egoistical and all that. They won't understand. Forget it. But there are very few new people. That's why I'm talking to Sahajogis and telling them the truth. Because so far I've had no chance to tell them all these things. So it doesn't matter. As Sahajogis, you are saints. And you must have that dignity of a saint, and that generosity of a saint, and a sense of priority and propriety. I hope Delhi Sahajogis will begin from tomorrow a new life in their behavior. आचरण में लाओ. बातें करने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. आचरण में लाओ. And try to be good Sahajogis to begin with. You cannot compromise on certain things. In Sahajoga you will be amazed, it's such a great science. Even one line here and there, they are finished. The other day, a gentleman came and he told me, I don't believe in such a such saint. Say, a Muslim may say that I don't believe in Guru Nanak. Immediately his vibrations must go down. Finished. But much worse when you say about me, or think about me, if there's even a thought coming, see that you just, because Guru Nanak is a person within you, but he didn't give you realization. He and me are one, there's no difference at all. But what he feels when he has become me and giving you realization, you don't want to recognize me, then alright. He is the one who will be angry, not me. You have always seen people who worship Shiva. With in the hand they keep they catch on the heart of the Shiva. Because Shiva himself is angry. Sahajoga is a very dynamic thing. And for that we don't need these people who are good for nothing. Kanjushas are out. Absent. You should be extremely punctual and anxious to do the needful. For Sahajoga's work is tremendous. While we have people who are so anxious, they are willing to stay here, they are willing to go anywhere, they are willing to do any work in Canada, want to go to America, work it out, and here we have people. It's surprising. In the Yoga Bhumi, this is Jangpura. Just imagine, this is Jangpura. Maybe here the Jang, I don't know of who, which people took place. In Hastinapur, a great Jang took place, long time back, where evil forces were fought. But was there anybody like the people we have here? Can you hold the sword of righteousness in your hand when you do not have any righteousness in your behavior? We cannot be like these ordinary politicians and these business people. We are saints. Understand, you are saints. You can't behave like them. Cheapish way. I never take anything free from you. It's very difficult to give me something. Unless and until there is a purpose or some sort of a reason, I would hate to take anything from you. You know that. So I should be your right hand. You will be very much respected if you behave like a saint. Saint has to be saintly within and without. One person who behaves like that shines everyone. Everybody knows, oh, here is a great saint has come. You don't have to become a very wealthy person for that. You don't have to be a big politician or a big minister, nothing. An ordinary person can flare the hood. So, I think one way of improving this would be that all of you should take up responsibilities. You should try to travel around. Now, some people should travel around, go establish some center, look out. Then go somewhere and establish that center, look out. Now, establish a center in Jangpura or someplace. Try to come, bring it, distribute some handbills in the marketplaces, get some people, establish. There are hardly few number of people who are organizing. It's not the way. Every one of you part and parcel of the whole. So now, I have to tell you today again, I have to go somewhere. And so you have to excuse me. I hope you don't mind today that I won't allow, it won't be possible to make you touch my feet. It's alright. There's no need to touch my feet at all. I'll tell you a very sweet story of Sri Krishna and Radha and then I'll go away. Once it happened that the ladies who were married to Sri Krishna got very jealous of Radhaji. And they told Sri Krishna that you don't love us. On top of that, Sri Narada came to put more oil on the fire. That he said he really, I believe, he never cares for you, he just likes Radhaji, it is not God. So Sri Krishna, as diplomatic as he was, he started saying, oh God, I have a terrible pain in my stomach, now what to do? So they said, now what to do? They said, it's very simple. You know, anyone who is a my bhakta, if you can give the dust of your feet for me to eat, then I'll be alright. So they got a fright of their life. See. As it is, if I tell you anything, you just want to give your solutions and nobody listens to me. If I say go here, no, it's better to go that way. Or come here, no, it's, this way is better. Everybody has a brain wave about it, doesn't matter. So they had brain waves. They said, you see, why don't you take some medicine? Somebody will call the Vaidya. He said, no, I know for definite that I cannot be cured by anything else. But one thing, that you have to get the dust of one of my bhaktas and I'll eat. So everybody started looking at each other, see, as some of the Sajogis do when it comes to pain. They never heard it, some of them. Never heard. Better, you see, it's very tricky nature. So they said, now what to do? If we do not cure Sri Krishna, he is just wailing, and what to do? Sri Krishna said, have some pity on me, give me some dust of your feet. So he said to Narada that you go and ask Radha to send her dust of her feet. So he went to Sri Radha. Sri Radhaji was in Vrindavan and the soil of that place is yellowish in color, like kesha, like saffron. So they said, he went and told that Sri Krishna is very sick, he's got a terrible pain in his stomach. So she got a fright. She said, really? How can that be? I can't believe it. So what does he say? What treatment can he take? He says, any one of his disciples, anybody's bhaktas, if they send a little of the dust of their feet, he will be alright. He has to take that as medicine. So she said, alright, take the dust of my feet. He was amazed. He said, what are you doing? You understand? If you give him the dust of your feet, then all your punyas will be lost. He's playing some trick, Just don't try these things. She said, nothing doing. You better take it. But he said, what about your punyas and papas? She said, I know one thing. It is he who looks after my papas and punyas. I have not to think of it. So he took the dust of her feet, which was absolutely yellow like a saffron or like a pollen of the flower. And he went and gave it to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna said, I knew Sri Radha will send it. He said, now let me eat it. He said, you can eat, but you have to answer the question that Sri Radha has said, that you look after her pap and punyas. How is it? How can it be? What does that mean? That you know what is punya and papas are. And she is not bothered about it. She has not to worry about her papa. He said, all right, now let me take the medicine. He took the medicine. And he said, I better sleep. And Sri Narada saw the heart of Sri Krishna open. And in the heart was the lotus of very beautiful pink color. On that lotus was lying Sri Radhaji. And her feet were rubbing against the pollen of that lotus. And the yellow of the Vrindavan clay was the same color as that. And then he realized that when she is touching that lotus with her feet, what does it matter if she gives her dust of her feet to Sri Krishna to drink? She is in his heart. When her feet are in his heart, what does it matter? And that's how they realized that Sri Radha's love was so great that for her she didn't think of dharma, adharma, but just to be at the command of her Lord. She acted, and that's how she had a place in the heart of Sri Krishna. May God bless you. I hope tomorrow we'll meet again and I'll talk to you at length about Kundalini. Those who have come for the first time today should at least come tomorrow, and I'll tell them all about Kundalini. And I'm really now fed up of talking on introduction. So you can take the book, read about it, come back. Sahaja Yoga is Yatharth. And also I'll give you realization tomorrow. I'm sorry I have to go for some work today, and that's how you must excuse me today. I hope you don't mind. Thank you.